The Texas Tech football team took on another ranked team this weekend in a hard-fought contest, but could the Red Raiders pull out the win? MCTV's Brogan Stewart will have a look back at Tech versus Baylor.
And the campus will be filled with red and black this week as Texas Tech kicks off Homecoming Week 2019. We'll have a look at how you can get in the spirit and get involved next.
And a conflict in the Middle East tops the list of stories making headlines around the world. MCTV's Uvie Bikomo will be in with a look at that story and more in today's weekly news roundup.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Monday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Kamryn Mendoza.
And I'm Angelina Galvan. Over the weekend, the Texas Tech football team packed their bags and headed for Waco for a showdown with the 22nd ranked Baylor Bears.
That's right, Angelina. After a surprising win against Oklahoma State, could the Red Raiders make headlines again against the Bears? MCTV's Brogan Stewart joins us in studio with a look back at this past weekend's game. Brogan?
Thanks, Kamryn and Angelina. After more than 10 years, Texas Tech headed back to Waco to take on Baylor in McLean Stadium. Although Tech hoped to hand the Bears their first loss of the season, Baylor found a way to win in double overtime. Both Baylor and Tech put on a defensive showdown in the first half, with both teams only scoring field goals. After halftime, the scoreboard finally began to light up as both teams traded touchdowns through the third and fourth quarters. In the last minute and a half of regulation, Baylor marched down the field from their own 1-yard line all the way into the red zone. But the Red Raiders held the Bears to a field goal to tie the game. In overtime, both teams scored touchdowns to force a second OT. Baylor held Tech to a field goal, and the Bears went on to score one last touchdown to end the game, with a final score of 33-30. Coming up in sports, I'll have details on a questionable call by the officials that could have changed the outcome of Saturday's game. Back to you, Angelina.
Thanks, Brogan. In other news, one of the biggest and most spirited weeks of the year is finally underway. Earlier today, the annual homecoming kickoff took place in the Sub North Plaza. The yearly event is the official start of the homecoming festivities. Today's kickoff started at noon and included performances by Tech's Pom Squad and appearance by Raider Red, and the announcement of this year's candidates for homecoming king and queen. Students attending today's kickoff also had the chance to pick up a free t-shirt featuring this year's homecoming theme, Tech Gets Animated. Today's event was just the first of many activities taking place between now and the annual homecoming football game on Saturday. Coming up later, we'll have a look at several options to get involved in our MCTV's events calendar.
The Texas Tech campus is always a busy place almost any day during the fall semester. But today, the campus got a little more crowded as a special group of people stopped by to visit. Starting at 8 a.m., Texas Tech welcomed several thousand potential students and their parents to campus during today's Texas Tech Preview. Texas Tech Preview is an annual fall event that gives future Red Raiders a chance to stop by and experience all the campus has to offer. Today's preview kicked off with a spirit rally in the United Supermarkets Arena featuring the TTU Spirit Squads, the Goin' Band, Raider Red, and a list of guest speakers. Following the rally, attendees had a chance to learn about the university's colleges and departments during a resource fair on the concourse of the arena. The rest of the day was filled with info sessions, campus tours, lunch at one of the dining halls, and a chance to experience the rec center. The annual Texas Tech Preview is one of the largest recruiting events of the year.
Last week's Texas Tech celebrated the diversity of the campus community during International Week. After a weeks-long series of events, the festivities finished out over the weekend with a showcase of what Tech's international community has to offer. On Saturday, the Office of International Affairs hosted Culture Fest and at the International Cultural Center. Members of the Tech community gathered outside the ICC from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. to enjoy demonstrations of cultural dances, sample various cuisines, and to check out crafts and other items on display. Saturday's event featured international groups and organizations from around the campus who came out to share their culture with the public.
So by attending events like this, like Culture Fest, and just increasing your participation in cultural organizations here at Tech, it kind of brings the global world, the global community, right in our very own Lubbock community, in our small town of Lubbock.
Culture Fest wrapped up the 2019 edition of the International Week. The next edition of International Week will be held sometime during the fall of 2020.
The South Plains area saw a roller coaster of conditions over the weekend, with temperatures dropping as low as the 30s on Saturday and highs reaching near 90 degrees yesterday afternoon.
That's right, Cameron. The Lubbock area even saw the first freeze of the season on Saturday morning, with temperatures dropping to 32 degrees around 7 a.m. So will these crazy conditions continue into this week? Let's take a look at MCTV forecast. The MCTV tower cam is showing a lot of high clouds today, but beyond the clouds, conditions are nice outside with temperatures climbing into the 80s and winds are light. Tonight we'll see a bit of a cool off with lows falling back into the upper 50s, but that's a big jump from the freezing temperatures we saw over the weekend. The rest of the week is looking pretty nice with mild conditions forecast through Thursday. Temperatures should stay in the 70s in the afternoon, and lows will be cool but still staying above freezing. Looking ahead, it looks like we may see a return to 80-degree highs over the weekend before another cool-off returns to the area next week.
International leaders are keeping their eyes on the Middle East as tensions rise between Turkey and Syria.
And the U.S.-China trade war may be settling down after a big announcement by President Trump last week. MCTV's Uvie Bikomo joins us with a look at those stories and more in our weekly news roundup. Uvie?
Thanks, Angelina and Kamryn. Last week started off with an actual bang on the international front when Turkey launched a ground and air assault against a Kurdish-led militia in Syria. The attack, which took place on Wednesday, came days after President Trump agreed to let the operation proceed. The Syrian militia that was struck was a crucial American ally in the fight against ISIS. Back on the home front, the White House said it would not cooperate with the impeachment inquiry into President Trump by House Democrats. The news came on the same day Gordon Sondland, a diplomat and key witness in the inquiry, was blocked from testifying. Mr. Sondland, whose lawyer later said he would testify anyways, is the United States ambassador to the European Union. And on Tuesday, the Supreme Court considered two cases involving whether a 1964 civil rights law protects LGBTQ workers.
This is what America looks like.
The justices heard arguments on whether Title VII of the Civil Rights Act bars employment discrimination based on sex or sexual orientation and transgender status. Many protesters gathered outside the Supreme Court and over a dozen LGBTQ activists were arrested. As of Tuesday, the justices remained divided on the decision. And on Friday, President Trump announced that he had reached a, quote, substantial deal with China that will delay a planned tariff increase on Tuesday.
We've come to a deal, pretty much subject to getting it written. It'll take probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 5 weeks. As you know, we're going to be in Chile together at the big summit, and maybe it'll be then, or maybe it'll be sometime around then.
This Phase 1 deal is an attempt at providing a temporary pause in a year-long trade war. The deal involves China buying 40 to 50 billion worth of American agricultural products, along with agreeing to guidelines on how it manages its currency and other provisions on intellectual property. That's all for your weekly news roundup. Back to you, Angelina.
Thanks, Uvie. As we mentioned earlier, homecoming week is underway, and there's a lot of opportunities for you to get pumped up before the Red Raiders take on Iowa State. Let's take a look at the MCTV's events calendar. The Student Activities Board is kicking off a set of a week-long creative activities with tomorrow's Flip Books event in the sub courtyard. From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., students can take a series of photos and animate themselves in their very own photo book. The final product will make a special keepsake that will allow you to remember the 2019 edition of Homecoming for years to come. SAB's Flip Book event is free for all students with a Tech ID.
Tomorrow night, you have a chance to stir up your school spirit during an annual competition that will have you tapping your feet and singing along. The annual student organization Sing will be taking place at the United Supermarkets Arena tomorrow night starting at 8 p.m. Members of Tech's Greek community, along with several student organizations, will take the floor of the arena and entertain attendees with singing and dancing. Tomorrow night's performances represent weeks of planning and practicing, and the best performance will be named the winner at the end of the night. The 2019 edition of So Sing is free and open to the public.
And on Wednesday, the Student Activities Board invites you back out to the Sub for another fun and free event. SAB will be hosting speed caricatures from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Sub courtyard, outside of the entrances to the Island Theater. Speed caricatures will give you a chance to have yourself turned into a cartoon by a skilled artist in just 30 seconds. The resulting masterpiece will be yours to keep and hang on your wall for years to come. As with all SAB events, speed caricatures are free with a student ID.
As we mentioned earlier, the Texas Tech football team came home with a disappointing loss to add to their 2019 season record.
But Saturday's outcome might have been a lot different if it wasn't for a questionable call made in overtime. MCTV's Brogan Stewart is back in studio with another look at this past weekend's game. Brogan?
Thanks, Kamryn and Angelina. Starting off with the big game of the weekend as the Texas Tech Red Raiders fall to the Baylor Bears in Waco 33-30 in second overtime. Jet Duffy would go for 362 passing yards on 31 completions with 1 touchdown and 2 picks. Throughout the game, redshirt freshman Sir Roderick Thompson was a major standout as he would run for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 30-yard touchdown run to give Tech a 3-point lead that would help send the game into overtime. However, it seems Texas Tech would fall short to the Bears after a missed illegal snap call would negate a fumble recovery and would allow Baylor to score a touchdown 2 plays later. Texas Tech Athletic Director Kirby Hocutt would later release this statement. It is important to state that we have been in constant communication with the Big 12 Conference office from the immediate end of the game and throughout Sunday regarding the illegal snap call in the first overtime. It has been confirmed that the ruling on the field of an illegal snap was incorrect. The play is not reviewable by rule because it is a dead ball judgment called by the official. I am confident that the Big 12 Conference will deal with the matter internally as they complete the review of the game in its entirety. While this is a very unfortunate circumstance, I cannot be more proud of our team and the competitive fight and effort with which they competed. Texas Tech football will return home to face the Iowa State Cyclones this weekend. This game is set to be Texas Tech's homecoming as well. The game is scheduled to kick off at 11. The Red Raider men's golf team is bringing home some hardware as they have claimed the Big 12 championship in the Big 12 match play tournament at the club at Houston Oaks. This tournament win gives the Red Raiders their 3rd straight tournament win and has also helped the team claim the number 3 ranking in the nation. The men's golf team has just one competition remaining for the fall as they will head to Orlando, Florida to compete in the Travstock Collegiate Invitational on October 20th through the 22nd. Texas Tech soccer continues to dominate the Big 12 as they finish a 4-point weekend in a draw against the Kansas Jayhawks 0-0. The game also marks the 3rd time in the last 4 games that the Red Raiders have played in an overtime match. This draw brings the Big 12 leading Red Raiders to 11 points in conference play. Texas Tech soccer would also add on 3 points as they were able to get their first win in Morgantown on Thursday. Moving to the NFL, both Texas teams were on the road. The Dallas Cowboys extended their losing streak to 3 as they fall to the winless New York Jets 24-22 as they were unable to convert on a last-second 2-point conversion. However, the Houston Texans had better luck as they traveled to face Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and won 31-24. The Cowboys will head home to take on the Philadelphia Eagles for Sunday Night Football, while the Texans will visit the Indianapolis Colts with a first kick at noon. That's all for sports. Back to you, Angelina and Kamryn.
Thanks, Brogan. So, Kamryn, are you planning to stop by any of this week's homecoming events?
I think I'm going to go to the parade and probably the bonfire that they're having. So
Awesome. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see y'all on Thursday.